So 2 weeks ago, I uploaded a video telling you that I might be homeless again. Now, why am I talking about this? Because everybody has a story to tell, and we should be telling our stories, because especially with this topic, like a lot of people are going homeless these days, and it's not always what you think. I've got my phone here because there's some notes that I wanted to specifically hit talking about this. So I want to talk about how within a month I almost got, to the same point that I almost was before. So it is the 1st, May 1st, and I'm not homeless. As you can see, I'm still in my SRO. For those of you who don't know what an SRO is, it means a single room occupancy. It means one person only, but it's a dorm situation. You're sharing a washroom and a shower. Now, the one that I happen to live in used to be, this is one of the second oldest buildings in the city. It used to be a lodge for workers that came through working on whatever logging it might be in the 1800s, gold miners. And then eventually, now in modern day, just before 2020, it was a backpackers hostel. And then 2020 hit. After 2020 reopened, it was fully converted into an SRO, so it's just living quarters now for people. So the one thing I want to talk about to start off with this is how this happened, and it's really simple. So, as a lot of you know, again, this is my new channel, but I've talked about this before, is that I used to work in entertainment full-time, and I've been trying to transition out of that industry. Not to say I won't take work, but it's not something I want to really be doing full-time anymore, or at least the way I was. So I found myself an industry that I want to be in, that I really adore and I love. I never thought I'd find a second thing that I love that much. I did. I'm not going to tell you what that is right now, though. I want to keep that to myself for now. But aside from that, I've been doing a lot of temporary work and gig work because I'm trying to get ahead on debt. There's a lot of reasons I have debt. I kind of think I talked about that before. But let me just tell you how almost within a month I lost everything again. So at the beginning of April, so I had a vehicle, and using that vehicle, utilizing that, I got to have gigs that were further away, but they meant they paid more. Or because I had a vehicle, I got paid extra because I had a vehicle for different gigs. So what has happened is I have a loan on that vehicle, which is totally fine. I had to get the loan for a specific reason, which I wish I didn't have to, but a friend of mine who was going to help me didn't end up helping me, and because of that I ended up with the car, which I'll discuss in another video. So at the beginning of the month, what had happened was the car just stopped operating. I turned off the engine and nothing. Nada. I had it towed. Turns out rodents had got in. And they didn't just chew apart one wire, they chewed apart 3, 4, 5 different sections of wire. Not just a single wire, but sections of wire. So unfortunately, what I've learned is it's extremely difficult to get those in. It's got to be delivered, the parts. We don't just have them. So anyways, sorry about that. By the way, apologies for the lighting that keeps going in and out. It's horrible. Hang on, sorry, but let me just move this back a little, maybe. I don't know why it keeps it. It's a stupid laptop. This is why I hate using the laptop to record. I'd rather use my phone. My phone isn't syncing. Never mind. Doesn't matter. So anyways, so the car stopped working. I thought, well, I didn't think necessarily for sure, but I thought, oh, well, it's still under warranty. It's going to be covered, possibly. It's not. So I called my insurance provider. They cover it because I pay additional insurance for this sort of damage. Fine. They're waiting for the parts. 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And eventually they discuss, my insurance provider says, well, look, our insurance company doesn't deal with that dealership. We have specific places. The problem with that is that they don't do direct billing to companies. For example, to simplify it, they don't have direct e-transfer. That's not what it is, but to simplify it. So the issue is, if they can't do direct billing to the company, that's fine. I will cover the cost, which is $4,000, and the insurance company will just reimburse me. Only thing that I have to pay is also the $500 deductible. Fine. Alright, so $4,000. I don't have $4,000. I live week to week, right? So right now they're trying to find out if they can do direct billing or not, right? Regardless though, even if I could pay it, I can't necessarily speed up the process in any capacity because they're still waiting for the parts to arrive, which is about 2 weeks, if there's no stalls. That was April 2nd. It's been 29 days because it's May 1st. So I got a rental car, which thankfully will be reimbursed to me, and I've been using that rental car to make money. But I've been working 15-hour days. I'm up at 6:45 every morning, and I don't get in till about 10:30 at night. It's 10:45 right now. I'm tired. I barely have eaten. I mean, I've been eating all day. I snack all day because I bring, food with me. But it's tough when you're working 15-hour days. And I don't want to be working 15-hour days. I don't want to be working to live. I want to live so I can work. But, I have been making money. And with that, I have managed to pay my rent today. I didn't think I would make it because I got a rental vehicle only 11 days ago. And in 11 days, for me to make enough money for my rent and everything else, I mean, I had to cover all my bills, it was around, I think, $2,400 for everything. Because I'm still paying for my car that's in the shop because they can't hold on to a vehicle if it's not insured. So I've been paying that all month, plus I've been paying the monthly payments on the actual loan for the car, and then my rent, my phone, internet, so I can keep making content, so I can start making some residuals, which I do get residuals from the stuff I've made. It's not much. It covers a little bit of my bills now because I don't make that much stuff regularly, but it's not the point of it, really. I want to enjoy doing this, and that's that. The future, what am I going to do? Once I pay this car off, I really don't want to have another car. I don't, at least not alone. I might do it, I might just buy an older car. Maybe. But it's the difference of me having the car gives me the possibility, if I can't pay rent, then yes, I'm going back into my car, because what's the option? The option is the vehicle or the streets. I'm certainly not going to a shelter. I know what those are like, and I'll be destroyed. I'll be devoured by people. It's just not the place I want to go. It's horrific. For a multitude of reasons. So, it's a choice that I have. Right? Do I sleep in a vehicle or do I sleep on the street? Now, it may not be a choice you like, but it is a choice. It is a choice. Right? So, that's sort of how it happens, right? You lose your income source, the tool that makes you income. They can't fix that tool. You're out looking for work, and that's that. You ran out of money because you got to eat, and you have to have a phone so you can be contacted for work, and that's it. And that's eventually you're done. Especially if you live day to day, week to week, month to month, then yeah, you're not gonna have a savings. What do I have in my savings? About $200. That is it. There was a time when I did really well in life, and I put away a lot of money, but I was making a lot of money. Making a lot of money because I just got lucky. I don't know. I made some right decisions, but those don't necessarily last, right? And even if you try and plan to save, that's not the reality of it at all. I remember I once told a coworker of mine years ago. They're like, "Wow, that's great. You have a good savings." I'm like, "Yeah, but I what happens if I get sick?" And then I remember a week later, I got sick. So unfortunately, it's a lot of this stuff that you have to keep paying for, even if you're not utilizing it, so that you can utilize it in the future. But if I don't pay for the car, it just goes to a collection. That's a whole different discussion. We can talk about that, because I've dealt with those collection agencies and the actual legalities behind that and explaining it. For example, Google this, but a lot of these companies will go to a debtor's auction, and that is how they purchase your debt to come after you when a bank no longer can. They're selling it, reselling. Every time they resell it, it just gets cheaper and cheaper, and eventually they give up. That takes a long time, but that's kind of how it works. So that's the thing about that. And I'm doing these videos because people need to share their experiences, because you're not alone. And we all go out there to search for things that we want in relation to ourselves. But also gives me something to do. You complete a video, even how, whatever simple it is, regards to the quality. And, I haven't talked about it much, but I mean, I have won awards as an artist, as a filmmaker, as an actor, a painting. I was a writer, still write, I guess. I've had stuff published, but it's not about that emotionally. It's the small things that you feel accomplishment in, that builds on each other. And it's not so much about anything else but that, really. I want the completion. I want the immediate satisfaction, and it doesn't really come from many places. At least within the art world, immediate that's a different discussion, but this gives me something to feel accomplished about, to give me energy. It's a hobby, something. My only other hobby is hiking. And it's interesting because I think of this idea that there's a joke I read about where somebody posts and says, tell me how these people without university degrees end up making a ton of money without having to do any sort of sexual favors, because I don't want to do that. Tell me how, someone. And then somebody else commented on their post and said, well, I got bad news for you. I'll tell you how you can make $100,000, but it's going to involve sex. And that's sort of the double-edged sword. But ironically, if you look at people that have gone to university, at this point, right now, they're no better off than people that haven't. Everyone's losing jobs. Everyone's struggling. And it's now at the point where there are, in fact, more people on this planet than actual jobs. Right? I mean, when we had the automation in the 1800s, I mean, even later in the 50s, But I mean, let's say if you look at the revolution, for the Industrial Revolution, it took about 90 years for us to catch up to all the jobs that were lost. About 90 years it took us to catch up. And it's happening again. Right, and there's other ways to do it. It doesn't need to be happening. And that's another discussion. But, I reiterate a lot. I know I do that. So I've made it 1 month. My rental car is going to be covered for 3 weeks. I'll get a refund on that, which will take about 9 weeks. And I don't know where my vehicle is. It's $4,000. Which will be covered. We just have to find out if they can do direct billing or not. If they can't, I can't cover that. If they can, great. I'll pay the $500, which I can, because I just go into overdraft debt for my bank. And that's that. Otherwise, I've been applying for jobs left, right, and center. Every few months I do that. I'll start applying for a couple. Because, yeah, I want to be in the industry that I want to be in. But I haven't had a job interview or held a regular job that I go to since 2001. Anyways. So that's how I came close again to losing everything. It's not difficult. Anyways, join me again on May, I want to say 11th, and you would think I would know this, but no, it's going to be the 15th, actually, halfway through the month. May 15th, I will have a new video. And I think, actually, yeah, I don't do anniversaries. I don't celebrate holidays, birthdays, anything like that. For a very specific, painful reason. But May 15th is actually an anniversary that I want to celebrate. So, yeah. Okay. Be good.